Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 17 of Enmity Podcasting. We got the full group back today. That means me, Raging Rondo, Ignitia, Talons, and Big, your panel. We have a great show for you today. We've been watching a lot of podcasts because that's what we do, trying to make this podcast better for you. And it seems like one of the big things in like some of the tech podcasts is they like to do predictions. So we're going to bring you predictions. We're going to bring you Reddit news. And we're going to bring you progression for everyone. But before that, we are brought to you by Ultrasabers at ultrasabers.com. Ignitia showing off the beautiful Scorpion. And Talons has his Tooth Sabers behind him. We're all super cool like that. If you want to buy one for yourself and support the podcast, you can go ahead and do that at the top of our website at www.42gaming.com, where it says Ultra Sabers. Other than that, we're also brought to you by Amazon Prime. Free second day shipping on most products. And if you sign up, it's a free 30 days, so you can support the podcast. You don't even have to buy in. You can support us just by signing up. So go ahead and try that out. And we're going to move on to our first subject of the night. This is something that Big, through watching multiple podcasts that he does, tech podcasts, nerd podcasts, people like to make predictions. We like to see if at the end of the year, we were correct. And we're going to go ahead and get into that. And because it is Big's idea, you got any predictions for this year, Big?
Oh yeah, I do. I think we're gonna definitely see some good stuff from Bioware this year. I would have to think that with Twitch getting so big and other games getting integrated in there, I think that they might try and work on possibly adding some Twitch integration into the actual Star Wars client. I think it would definitely help promote the game a bit more and get some more subscribers in.
I mean,
So do you think that's something that?
what do you think, Talons, with other MOBAs? I mean, we've talked about we played Smite. I think in the first couple podcasts we've given jokes about finishing off arguments in Smite. This is something that Smite does, and they're trying to integrate into making their game a little bit better when it comes to this to the Twitch team. Is this something that you see that through Star Wars: The Old Republic that it might help them out in the long run to get a fan base?
Yeah, I mean it never hurts to get out there and when you're, viewing the Twitch page and you see how many people are streaming on, on the different games. It helps to have your game up there on the top of the list, for how many streams are going on for it. So it'll get people more interested in watching the game. The more people watching the game, obviously, the more people that are gonna subscribe and get the game. So yeah, definitely.
Would you watch it, Ignitia? Thumbs up. Those of you who are just listening, we got a big thumbs up from our big man Ignitia over there. I have to agree. This is something that I think can I said great. I have to mention things that I do every cast, but this is something that is really important to making sure that you have watchers, viewers, especially in today's day and age with gaming. Um, Big, I think it's a great idea. I think it's something that we have to look into as a community. Need to start putting our stuff up there because I mean, how many times on Reddit have you seen Big? People are always asking like, oh, who's the best podcaster or not podcaster, but who's up on Twitch? Who's got a YouTube feed? I mean, I see it all the time.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it'd be good to have something in there where people can actually watch it. So maybe while they're waiting for a war zone, they can be watching some other ranked PvP going on. Um, so it'd just be easier for them to get the word out there.
Well, what about adding a spectator? Like we're talking about Smite, you can jump in and watch a match that your friends are playing. I think it'd be cool, and it would also help. People are always talking about bragging rights or helping people, the PvP community, grow. If you could jump in and spectate a match, I think that'd be cool.
Oh, so what you're saying is they can do that and they can watch what is going on and they can sort of give tips. Obviously, there would probably be what, like a minute delay, I think is what most games do with a spectator mode.
Right, there's a delay, so you can't be talking in band to your buddy or anything. But yeah, just a spectator mode where you have free reign. You can, say a hot ball, you can go all over the map and just kind of view what everyone's doing. Um, I think that would help a lot.
We think Ignitia. I mean, I think that. Well, I mean, on my end, I think that that's a great idea because how many times have you had a team where you're like, "Why am I losing?" And then you look around, and half the people are off 1v1ing each other in the corner, as just just for no reason. And you're sitting there and you're like, "Wait a second, no wonder we're losing. I'm running the ball. You're over with uh one of your buddies in the corner seeing who's the better PvPer." And I think having somebody who's sitting there spectating, going, "Come on, guys, at this point in the game," I mean, for anybody who's trying to get better in a game, I think a spectator mode through this Twitch is a great idea.
Yeah, or even knowing what the good PvP guilds and stuff are, the ones to watch. You could jump into their games and spectate them and see what they're doing to be successful.
Cool. I think that that's a great idea. Good prediction. That's my thumbs up for what's coming up. Talons, how about you? So we heard Twitch. What do you think for next year is coming?
Well, me and Big were both talking about it, and I've actually mentioned it a couple times throughout the year. But with the launch of beast mounts, I foresee them having flying beast mounts in 2014. Um, and again, just like your speeder, where you'll only be able to go so far off the ground, so you're not going to be able to fly over mountains and stuff. But essentially, you'll be on. You remember the taxis? What it was, Alderaan, where you had
Yeah.
the almost like they're like the stingrays. Those would be cool, or
Toronto's.
just yeah, exactly those, something like that. And I see that coming out. Um, let's see. I think that 2014. Obviously, we were talking earlier. It's going to be a competitive year. They're going to have to put out a lot of really amazing content to compete with what's coming out. And I think they will. They haven't disappointed yet, and I don't think they plan on it. I think that they have a lot of plans for Galactic Starfighter. I think this could be the year of the Starfighter. We could see a lot going on with that. Who knows?
So
They
let's go
could.
back to your first one there. You said flying mounts. Now, by flying mounts, does that mean that you want to be able to fly all around Alderaan, or do you just mean like a land mount, with like a large land mount that you can fly on? That is just a moving mount. It just doesn't quite fly.
Well, you know, I would like a flying mount where you could take flight and fly over mountains and skip around. But I don't see them doing that.
No.
But what I do see them doing is making a flying mount that's hovering, as high as one of your speeders does. That you can. It's basically just like a speeder, but it's a beast mount that flies.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And when we go into, I don't see them doing it just because I feel like the instances it doesn't work. Don't you feel like they have set areas on, say, like Alderaan, where you go into a different area from that point. So if you're like trying to fly over it, I think maybe it could cause like logistical issues.
Yeah, exactly. And where a lot of the planets are, the way that they're kind of linear and you have to follow a certain direction, I don't, there's not even anything, the program's not even written for you to be able to skip over. So it's like you're supposed to follow a certain pathway, and I think a little hover beast would be more likely.
Oh yeah.
Well, and like the hover chairs themselves, or the Grior board just kind of floats a few inches or a few feet off the ground. Something like that. We definitely would love to be able to fly around, I'm sure, but we don't want anything crazy, so definitely some sort of little flying mount at least off the ground would
Or
be nice.
or maybe a mount that at the max is maybe like 6 to 10 feet off the ground, but nothing like insane where you can fly over mountains, but you're high enough to be off the ground where you can go over like maybe a river or two or maybe some rock formations, but nothing
No,
really huge.
for datacrons, it would kind of make it
Yeah.
cheating. I probably want to keep the whole having to jump around and wait on the Tatooine's what is it, air balloon for the half an hour or so. I don't see them doing anything more than just like the standard speeders where they're just an inch or two off the ground.
Yeah, I
Yeah, that's
just
a good point too. I think that that would take away from some of the exploration and the achievements and Datacrons and stuff like that.
Well, and people say there's not a lot of exploration to be had in this game, but if you go to like say Coruscant, where you can get on top of these buildings by like jumping up, running up a bridge, going over a piece of metal, and now you're on top of this area where there's a lot of datacrons to be had up there, right? But I mean, people, okay, so adventure is had in this game, and for those who are looking for it, and I agree with you. Having this a flying mount that takes you a little too high might be too much for what this game is at the moment. And this game is land exploration, not flight exploration at the moment. Not that they can't change that because other games have done it with complete patches. The last thing I was going to say when it comes to that, when you're talking about these flying mounts, what if most of those places aren't as 3D as they look, say on Coruscant? I think that's where the logistical issues come. How maybe that area isn't as 3D as you think, and so if you're able to fly up there, uh, maybe those buildings are like empty on the top.
Flat. Right,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, they would have to pat. They would have to, it would be a huge patch. They'd have to change obviously a bunch of stuff. I mean, it'd be awesome. I just don't see it happening. I mean, if you think about speeders, even they're supposed to. I mean, in lore, what do they? They get like what 50 meters or something off the ground.
oh,
I
more
mean, they're
than
not
that. I
just little
mean, you have
hover.
you have when episode 2, when Anakin's jumping off of the building, they're all up there like real speeder. They're or not or like
Yeah, yeah,
real flying
exactly.
mounts.
So those are flying mounts. So essentially, we have them. We were just talking about beast flying mounts, the same as speeders are now.
yeah. What I would wish though is they made the mounts like around speeder level 3 a little bit faster.
I agree.
Oh yeah, I agree with that too. Do like 130 or even up to 150% maybe.
Maybe next expansion.
150 would be good.
We need to get into the logistics of actually having to upgrade some of the old speeders to that rank as
Or
well.
even
So
come up with a rank 4.
Yeah. I think maybe next expansion, and maybe if they have more open world stuff, I see something like that happen because once you get that expansion and it's a bigger area and it calls for that, then they'll definitely have to take that into account. But until then, I'm not sure that that's something that they're really looking into. Moving on, Ignitia. What do you plan? What do you think is planned for this year?
A lot. That's what I'm gonna first say. I'll just go with the basics first. I'm predicting that there'll be a new PvP Warzone, and the end of season 1 going into season 2 for PvP will be happening possibly around, I'd say, summer.
I forget what patch they actually said it was, but it was one of the patches, like 2.7, I think, that they're actually going to do that. End the actual season and then have a preseason in between again, or an off season.
So to add on what he's saying, do you think that that's going to offer prizes for the top teams?
I think there's going to be a lot to go, especially for
Yeah,
the
that's
rank
what.
guy.
Well, yeah, for the leaderboard system, that's part of that as well too. They're going to add in um, they're going to have a certain tier where rank 1 through 5 get like this certain prize, and 5 through 10 you know get this type of prize, and so they're going to plan to have something. I don't think they actually announced what the rewards will be this time, but they did plan for something like that. So.
They don't usually. Uh, like in most games, they don't announce. It's just like, wow, look at what these guys have at the end of the thing. I think in World of Warcraft, you had at the end they had all these like in ICC they had all these really cool flying mounts that all of a sudden everybody was flying around going, look, I'm a PvPer. Ha ha ha. You guys can't ever get this because it's already over and you didn't even know it was going to happen. So I think things like that. And in the past, Talons, I think you've talked about liking stuff like that, whereas with the Gree event, you were hoping they didn't ever bring back that hover chair, or not hover chair, the Gree sort of thing. And you're like, because people worked hard in order to do this. So why bring it back? This game needs stuff
Yeah,
like that,
when
I think, where you
right.
don't always get it back. You didn't try the first time. Let's next time it gives you that incentive to log in, right?
Right, rare items should be just that. I mean, even the rare drops in operations, pretty soon they're not rare because those operations is when they're older, lots of groups have gone in there, and pretty soon you see those mounts all over the place. So yeah, I mean, it'd be great if they did this where the PvP season ends, and say the grand prize for the first tier is this awesome mount. uh, they should never bring that mount back. That should be it.
I have to
It's
Well,
just
agree.
with the Gree event, I might have recently acquired a red sphere, and that's still a pretty rare
How
amount. You
much
don't
did
see
you
too
pay for
often.
that, Big?
you
So
pay way too much
Big
money for that.
paid for that
We're not gonna
mount
talk
because
money.
he
It
has
makes
that.
it makes me not want to be Big's friend when I know how much money he has. It makes me a little uncomfortable. So
Is he because it's the 1% thing? Like you went out to the 99% mount.
right.
So no, I'm just kidding.
No, it's like that friend when you realize how much money they're making.
You go
It's
over to their
like,
house and you never
I
want to
don't I
invite
don't
them
know
over
if
to
I could
your
be friends
house.
with you. Right, right,
Right.
exactly.
We'll just say I dropped enough credits on him that he instantly said yes. So we'll put it there.
That's
He couldn't
enough.
refuse the offer.
Let me make you an
Yep,
offer you
made him
can't
offer he couldn't.
refuse. Yeah, I can't do it, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
I'm
going
sure
on what
Initiative could
Talons
do it.
was, yeah, I could, but going on what Talons was saying though, like with the rarity, like, well, this is the period ends, you can't get it anymore. It's the only thing I would say is it should be for a period that lasts for a long period of time, like between like 3 to 5 months. Uh, like during the Agree event, a great example is with me is the fact that I haven't been able to celebrate or not celebrate, but actually participate in every Agree event because I'm either out of town or I'm busy, and I miss it completely, and I've had that happen to me on 3 different occasions. So would it be nice to try to get to acquire that same amount? Yeah, it would be. But in but in like certain instances, when it comes to like going for an achievement run for an operation or PvP season one, that longevity of time, you have ample opportunity to try to do the best you can for in that amount of time to where you can get that achieved
Yeah,
amount
I
or
can agree with that.
prize or something like that.
yeah. You've
But
had
you know, I
plenty of
wouldn't say
time to.
5 months, as because let's be honest here. It's nice to have a holiday celebration because I chose not to do the holiday celebration, and it was one of those things where this time around with the Life Day event, and I will never get the sleigh ride thing, and I'm okay with that, and I made that conscious decision. So later on, when I go, oh, everybody has one. I made a conscious decision to not do that. So I think some events I agree with you. Other events where it was a green crystal or a bowcaster and we never saw that event again, I have to agree. Let's get him back in. I would love to have that bowcaster, and it's never come back. So I have to agree. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying sometimes it's nice to bring back content, little snippets, and say, hey, have a go at it again.
Well, and they did bring back the bowcaster with the bounty hunter event, and also from the cartel market as well. So that's one thing they did listen to the community on. I think with the green black crystal though, that's one of those things that is pretty rare and nice to be able to have and kind of show off.
It's
Same thing
nice
like
to
with the
be able
pre-order
to say
crystals.
I have it. The one thing, like talking about it, the Corellis mounts, I have all three, and I know people get upset because I'll go back and like I'll be like, look, I have this one, and this one, and people will just be like,
Well,
you
and you
know the
also
ones I'm
have
Yeah,
talking about, the big fat body ones that people don't know. That yeah,
right. The Corellius cruisers. Those things are awesome. I only have the white one, so I'm only semi jealous. But
and everyone kind of forgets from time to time, but if you have if you pre-order the game and they have that pre-order crystal vendor where you can actually get the black yellow crystals.
yep.
right, they look like Bumblebee.
I'll give my prediction real quick. Uh, my prediction is that knowing that we are getting guild ships or that something to that effect is coming soon, I would actually venture to guess that we might be getting guild achievements soon. And with this guild achievement thing, I think something cool to bring up that with achievements that you do within the raid. So talking to Swotor Miner, he said he had mentioned that you would be able to put down your own couches, or you'd be able to buy items that might go into the ship. You can listen to that podcast. It's episode 14 on 42gaming.com, where he goes into this stuff. But he talks about this, and I was thinking with guild achievements, it would be fun to get guild trophies. And you could have your own trophy room where you could have the Dreadmaster masks that were taken off of the Dreadmasters, and you could have them put up. Or you could have the Kephas's head from the second time you kill him, because obviously you can't have it from the first one because they remake them. But I think stuff like that would be cool. I mean, what do you guys think?
Can we put baby
Yeah,
Keps's head up next to
that'd
Big
be that'd be awesome. Like the dread mask all mounted on the walls and stuff. And I totally agree. I think being able to pimp out your ship will be a key part of it. And we were talking about earlier too. I mean, they should just give you a rust bucket, like beat up cruiser, and you should be able to fully upgrade it and be able to go on guild quests, guild missions, if you will, and have to join together as a guild to achieve certain things on different planets and go around. And as you do that, you're able to unlock different pieces or parts for your ship and be able to pimp it out. And pretty soon it's all nice and shiny and you can show it off and stuff. I think that would be really cool.
Oh yeah. And I think
Put some big
what's
old
cool
guns
with
on it.
that is that you could almost treat that as a guild level too, where as your ship gets better, you start getting upgrades. So you could talk about like experience, or you get more renown. And with that renown, you get more experience because they know your guild name when you're going and completing quests. You could keep it lore friendly. Oh, you're from, not that they would say this, but in the lore it'd be like, well, you're from Circle of Enmity, and you guys have this great ship, and you guys have done all this great things for the community. Of course we would give you more credits and experience for this game, for doing this achievement, because you're renowned. You come from a guild that is known, well known. They have some say in the universe.
Yeah, because
Right?
they talked
Yeah.
about
That.
giving us more guild perks. So, I mean, the experience and rep boost is nice, but definitely would be nice having some more guild perks for even larger guilds and for downing content. So, I
Oh,
definitely think that's a great
like a
idea.
nice mount for being the top level. Dude, and that would be cool. What if they offered a mount that looks like your capital ship, like a small version of your capital ship once you hit the best capital ship? I think that would be cool.
That'd
Yeah.
be
It's like a
nice.
little mini capital ship that you could drive around.
Yeah,
And
But
or
I'd
yeah,
like
like
a vendor that you can in the guild capital ship that you can go buy it from or something.
Hmm.
I'd also like to see some like if you want to say guild slash operation friendly perks. Uh, like a biochem could make a nice little brew, if you want to say, or whatever the hell, whatever they're doing with stems and
I'd
adrenals,
love that.
and and maybe a nice little mass res. That would be kind of a
Oh,
like a
where are we
mass
taking
medical
that
probe, if you want to
that
call
stuff
that.
from there, Ignitia? You could just
Yeah, I
straight up
wonder.
copy from
Yeah.
the WoW handbook if you want to, there, buddy.
Yeah, but in those two, instances, it was fun to join a guild and try to drive that guild as hard as you can, or or push yourselves as hard as you can, just to gain those achievements or perks, just to be able to make your raid environment funner and faster, and being able to put more attempts overall as a whole.
And yeah, one last
And
Yeah.
thing to put
I
on
would.
that too is what about making somebody, and if we're going to take from the guild from the WoW handbook, we might as well do it here, because I think that a great idea with this would be to allow somebody to gain prestige within a guild. And what that does is it forced them to do that within a guild. You would take away from guild hoppers. And every guild has problems with guild hoppers. You give them some gear and they're gone for better pastures. But if they had perks for being in the guild long enough, say a time thing, or they had earned so much prestige within a guild that they're like, it gives them a reason to stay, I think that would be awesome too.
Yeah, definitely. I think it all ties in. I think they definitely need to push guild camaraderie and that pride in your guild. You're all going to achieve the same thing. That's not just raiding and trying to beat the operations, but leveling up within your guild, the guild experience. They could put in weeklies and dailies that you could go out and do with the guild, and then yeah, within also have some sort of perks for being in that guild for a certain amount of time. That's a great idea because I think it is an issue. I was talking to this kid the other day, and he was like, guildless, and I was like, hey, you want to join a guild? And he's like, nah, there's no point in joining a guild.
Yeah, and he probably had
So
bad
there needs to be a point.
experiences too.
Right, exactly. And he's level 55, and he's like, I don't need the experience boost, and he just joins Pugs to do his thing, and he's like, yeah, there's no need for a guild, and that should change, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. But I think he may not have had a guild like us where we have people who come in constantly and we allow them to get gear very quickly. So finding the right guild is also very important for you. Now, round two, we're gonna give everybody one more chance with their future thing. We're gonna go through this one maybe. We're gonna go counter or clockwise this time. So Ignitia, what's your second sort of go-to for prediction for next year?
Expansion by the end of announced by the end of 2014.
Okay,
Straight up.
so an
I'm just gonna say it.
announcement of an expansion.
A real, a real one.
A real expansion, new levels, new content, new operations, everything. Maybe even possibly a new class, maybe.
A new class. I mean, that could be interesting. I think this is something I've ranted about in Vent before. I would love to see a new sort of class. What would you think it would be a class that would be viable that we haven't seen before?
Personally, I'd like to see like a pseudo, like a bounty hunter-esque tech blade using melee fighter.
What
That
about
would be
somebody with
my.
an in combat uh, companion or animal,
I was gonna say beast
Yeah,
whispers.
like a.
like a Jedi who can
Yeah.
control beasts around him? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
in
yeah,
the lore. I think it's completely viable.
Yes,
yeah.
but the only question I would have is what would you call it on the opposite side? The mirror.
Well, I think a Beastmaster would be more Republic, where or maybe a tamer. You could call it a tamer on one end, and you could call it the Beast Master on our end, where you are a master of the beast, where you like we're the Dread Masters, and it's viable. Look at the Dread Masters. The Dread Masters controlled the first one, and they said, look, anything with fear can be controlled. You could come out now that the Dread Masters are dead. You could come out with a Dread Master class where one you control people, and the other one you control your surroundings through fear.
I'm in. I'm in.
That'd be
I
cool.
like
Yeah.
it.
Right? I just came up with that right now. I mean, just like I think that would be really cool. Like now that we've put the Dread Masters in their place, we can control what they do. And
Yeah, that'd be
the
cool.
Republic
It's a
can
good
find
concept.
an easy way to do it. They can find a more they control these things. Let's show them love and they will come with us and they will be our friend. And the Sith side is like, Force lightning, you are mine.
Right. We'll
I
break
would do it to
your will
Talons.
rather than.
I would sit there as my Dreadmaster guy, and I'd be like Talons, Force Lightning. You're under my control. I mean, what do you think, Big? Do you think this is viable, or you think we're just uh, we're smoking the wind?
Probably a bit smoke in the wind. I mean, maybe a new skill tree possibly, or maybe a advanced class. I don't think we'd get a whole new class because you have the whole issue of creating new leveling planets and content. So it might be more viable for them to add add some sort of advanced class. I think back in beta, the Jedi Sage actually had 4 skill trees they could choose from, so might be in the actual works for them to be able to add an extra skill tree. So who knows? Maybe I can start tinking with my operative.
So other games in the past have done tiers above the tier, right? Where you get so far into one class that you are now upgraded. So one of the first that have done it is obviously Final Fantasy, which it wasn't an MMO. But if you look at Ragnarok Online, which was this like 2D sprite thing, you could become one class, and once you chose that class, you had chance to become this class. So what if you had the ability as a Sith sorcerer to to
to
um,
unlock
to
that.
unlock the dread?
Well, yeah, totally. That's more of a viable concept, I think, to because then they're not rewriting. Because that was actually a Q&A question when they came to Seattle, and it's on the wall of ain't gonna happen because it's
Are
so
you
hard
talking
to
wall of
write.
crazy, or did you make up a new wall?
Yeah, I made up a new wall, but no, they basically said it's just so hard to write all this. It's like making a whole another game to create a new class. But to bump up a class, you wouldn't have to create that whole another all the quests and the planet and everything. You would just almost it would just be like giving them another level cap. Only they
So
could go in different directions.
somebody in the chat said fix the trees you have before moving on to expanding. And I have to agree, but does it mean that I don't think it's cool? I think it's cool, so I'm gonna say do it. And I agree with chat person also that at some point you're gonna have to fix what you have and then move forward. But uh, should it they stop it from doing something that's cool? I mean, come on, who wants to be a power tech with a sword like the Mandalorians from the Clone Wars? And if anybody hasn't watched Clone Wars, I'm not going to explain myself because you should go watch it. And with a giant sword, lightsaber, jumping at Jedi, and I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say that they
I
shouldn't do it.
have to say
Or they,
something.
oh no. Okay.
Black Blade. That's all I'm gonna say. Bring the
Man, come
Black
on,
Blade
that
to
was
the game.
mine. That's my next one. No, no,
No,
I got
that is
another one.
mine.
Okay, the
That is
Black Blade.
mine, dude.
Okay, so Ignitia said it. Now moving on to Talons, you had mentioned something about GSF before about your predictions for next year. What about GSF that you want to see added?
Well, like I said, I think it's gonna be definitely the year of the Galactic Starfighter. I think they have a lot of plans for expansions and getting deeper into Galactic Starfighter. Who knows what they are? Obviously, I've already stated what I'd like to see. Group quests, flashpoints, operations,
Operations. Say
and
it. Say it one more time. Say it, please.
operations.
Sweet.
Um, and then I'm hopeful because actually, looking into release, it looks like they're gonna when Galactic Starfighter is released, it looks like they're gonna release more content and bombers and who knows what else. I know there's a little quest line that you gotta do to get into it. So, they're not putting out what you just see now, which is, oh, I'm gonna queue up for two different little PvP things. I think they're gonna expand on this a lot more, and I hope they do.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it's coming, and we already know we're getting bombers. We already know we're getting more maps, and it was one of those things where last week we talked about it. And we gave him a hard time, and then we find out that there's more maps coming out and whatnot. I think it's a great idea, especially with the more
Well,
maps.
my hard time last week was more on slow queue times, which still need to be addressed, and balancing. I think that's the ultimate challenge, though, in any PvP is balancing the queues so you're not queuing up with, you're just steamrolling the other player, or vice versa. Sometimes you'll queue up for Starfighter, and for like 5 or 6 matches, you're just wasting them, three capping them, and it becomes a little bit, you know, mundane, boring. But then,
Well,
and
it
then
can
other
be
hands,
awesome
you
as
have,
a GSF like you though.
well, yes, yes, that's true. But no, on the other hand, sometimes sometimes the opposition is got their group going and they're just rolling over us. So it kind of goes back and forth. And every once in a while you'll get that game that's just like really close and it's really fun because you kind of equally skilled players on both teams. I think that's something that they could work on a little. But again, we've all talked about it before. Um, Allowing people to queue up with other servers would fix a lot of those queue times.
I think your predictions are very correct. We're going to see a huge year of GSF. Not only do I think that we're going to see a huge year of GSF because it's the right thing to do because you just released that content and we want to see a bunch of it, but I have no doubt in my mind that we are going to see a correlation between PvP. Here's the point. You have to make it competitive. In order to make that competitive and to keep people coming, you're gonna have to make it like a ranking system.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
so I think that that is something that definitely. Now moving on, GSF. I think that's a great one. I think next year when we look back on these, that's going to be something we talk about, and we're like, look at GSF now. It's amazing. It brought so many people back, even free to play. Who cares if they're free to play? They can still shoot. You know. Next up, Big. What do you think?
Pew pew.
I think we're going to see the return of the Emperor. I don't know if we'll actually get to fight him and take him down yet, but I think with the Dreadmasters out, that he's going to poke his head out. It's a common enemy that both the Empire possibly fight. That he's trying to wipe out everyone, and the Republic as well. So I would have to say that the we're going to see the return of the Emperor. What do you guys think?
The Return of the Emperor. Which emperor? No, I'm just kidding. I don't even know who he is. You got to read the books. Read the Revan book. You'll know who he is. What do you think, Talons? Do you think we'll see the emperor?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. With the launch of the game, he was such a huge character. I mean, I still have my, or you're talking to Emperor, not Malgus. Well, you were always talking about the return of Malgus, so I'm just going on that. But
Well,
yeah, I
Malgus
do
is
think,
come back sometime soon.
yeah, Malgus will be back. They didn't give me a little statue of him in my
Well,
collector's
okay,
edition,
so
nothing.
to mention Malgus right now, me and the podcast crew have actually entered into an investigation on the implications of what has happened through a very, 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 very famous droid that's in uh, the lore and in games that we've played. And next week we are going to be coming to you live from the SWOTOR universe with our findings on what that actually means for the community. So let's not get too far into that one, okay? Because we have something that we think is revolutionary when we come to ideaing that me and Big are up against, and we're gonna bring this next week. It's gonna be big, guys. So watch next week. So now let's go back to the Emperor because I don't want you guys to get too far into that one. I haven't completely announced it yet. So
Yeah,
But
so I
yeah,
mean,
I
I definitely
I think the
think
Emperor will make a comeback.
yeah, I
She's
think I
ready
think he has to.
to finally take him down.
I don't want to fight him. That dude scares me. I got to.
He has
I
to
got
die
to.
though. Why not under
Yes.
our hands?
Well, I had the proud opportunity to at least be once a Republic person. Just yeah, that stuff. But no spoilers. But yay,
Traitor.
yeah, he scares me. He scares me. I'm scared.
All right, and
But T7's a bit.
last but not least, with me, and I think this is big for the Emperor. Maybe I think maybe my idea is so an Emperor has something to do with the Emperor, and that is, let me find it really quick. I have some notes. Is new content not expanding on the entire universe, but going back and looking at what we already have. And what we already have is planets that are not used quite enough. So I'm going to throw this out there. I think that we need to see an expansion on Korriban where um, we can go and explore the dark side of Korriban. And what's the other side? Where they can go and explore the roots of the Jedi.
Tython.
Tython.
Python. This I think is fun. This allows us to get into the roots of where we came from, and then also into where the bounty hunters start from, where all these other places start from. This allows us to get just into the core of where everything started and why. I think Korriban would be fun because that gives a chance of me as a bounty hunter to go into Korriban and get into the roots and maybe fester out some Sith who are actually Jedi spies or something and take them out. Or like the operative could do that, and my job is to kill them as the bounty hunter. I think this is big. This is I think what they need to do. Um, they need this, I think. What do you guys think? I mean, for me, I think it's big because it's one of the.
Yeah,
You look at KOTOR, right? The original. You get to go into the spaceport, you get to land, you get to go into all of these areas. So let's go into the tombs, baby. Let's go into the tombs. I think that would be fun.
yeah, I agree. I think not only that, it's fun to go back to other planets that have lobies on them and just even mess around with them, answer questions that lobies have. And I went to back to Korriban once and just hung out there for a while and was I would just invite random people to my group, and then if they accepted, I would give them like 10K just to
Really?
be nice, just to get them started and excited, and then they're like, sweet, thanks.
You're like the
Little
nicest
starter
Sith
for them.
everywhere. I think we talked about it. What was that, episode 13? Where you got your go listen to that episode. I won't give it all away, but Talon's had a fanboy. So uh,
Oh yeah, my
no,
Padawan
yeah, your Pado. Well, no, what's a Sith? He was just your apprentice.
apprentice, my apprentice.
Apprentice.
But he got a little creepy. So,
Yeah, episode 13. All right.
but he's a Sith.
Does anybody have? So we'll do the last. Who has the next best idea? What we think we're gonna see next year? And we'll, since we've gone around twice, what do you guys think? One more. Big, do you got one for us? I know you've been. This is like your baby. I know you got something you've been saving.
Well, yeah, I think with the dreadful essence and the dreadful eternity or entity, it's going to unlock us another boss. Possibly, maybe not something to do with the dread masters themselves. Maybe a boss that they left behind that's guarding some sort of special treasure or mount or something like that that it's going to unlock. I mean, with the end of the dread masters, I think they have to add. I don't think they're just going to leave it at those two secret bosses and just cut it off there. So, I definitely expect that this year in 2014 we'll be seeing a third secret boss or possibly a finale to the secret boss chain.
Oh yeah, I think that would be fun. Maybe they're keeping Maugus in some sort of cryogenic chamber, and it's being guarded by some sort of boss that you have to have with the second dread entity drops.
Does that mean we can get Malgus as a mini pet then, or that'd be kind of cool?
So not as a
A
mini
little
pet,
mini
but I
Malgus.
think that maybe you could release him onto the world. But anyways, I think that's awesome. I think hopefully that's something that will happen. I think something that needs to be talked about is this: whatever we said about bringing up class changes has struck a chord with somebody by the name of Niner Fett, and we have a great conversation going on in our chat right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that chat and I'm going to put it into I'm going to put it on the website so people can see what people think right now. I mean, we're talking everywhere from uh, physical bounty hunters to what type of pets that would be viable. It's a great conversation going on in the chat right now, so I'm going to make sure that ends up on the website. I'm going to copy it up. So anything that gets said, thank you Niner Fett for throwing in your thought processes, and maybe you could show up on the website and just throw us a comment at 42gaming.com when we post this up on Monday.
You also gotta give him a shout out for how awesome his name is as well.
Niner Fett for sure. Okay, so let's move on. I think that the next thing that we have a couple Reddit news, and then I have one sort of shout out to BioWare for their ability to make everybody have some form of progression. So let's see. This week in Star Wars: The Old Republic, Bioware had a little bit of trouble. You want to tell us a little bit about that, Big? It was just what yesterday or so.
Yeah, it was yesterday, so I guess that would be the Thursday the 2nd. They had a DDoS attack, which is a denial of service attack. It's essentially where someone gets a bunch of computers to flood the login servers over at EA. So it didn't just affect everyone that's on SOTOR. It affected, I think it was the Battlefront. I think any game essentially where you had to log in using their servers. So a lot of people weren't too happy about that, but eventually BioWare got it fixed. Eric Musco had to come in. They had to wake him up and get him down there late night, and they had to sort some things out. But they eventually got it back up and running, and we're great at responding back to the community and giving everyone an update. So
So I'm not one to sit back and tell somebody that they did a great job if they didn't do a good job, but the fact that they did get it handled as quickly as they did, Eric Musco was on it. Not everything that I agree with I don't agree with everything that Eric Musco does. I also don't agree with everything that their development team does, but I think they were on the ball this one. I have to give them a shout out. Thank you for getting your game up and running and making sure that everybody was able to get in the game because I know that a lot of people's rating or PvP progression just was not just was unable to happen last night. And the fact that they were on the ball, come on, we got to give them a small shout out because there's always those people who want to make life a little harder for people who just want to enjoy their game. And the fact that our team was on it, I have to give them a little bit of shout out. I know Ignitia wants to say a small thing to those people. So as much as I told him today that I was not going to allow him, I'm just going to tell him that he has one sentence. How do you feel about those people?
It's gonna be a lot of
I
cussing involved.
freaking hate you.
All right. He
That is
freaking
all.
hates you. And Talons hopes that you learn how to hug trees. So, moving on, Big, do you have any?
No, then the trees will crash.
That's true. That's true. Big, what do you have for us today when it comes to Reddit news?
well, the Guild PC Gamer Mint Imperials, uh, they uh, they were getting close to their Scum and Villainy Nightmare run, and they missed it by 4 seconds last week. So they were able
Dun,
to get it
dun,
down this week and
dun.
get their titles. Yeah, 4 seconds. I mean, that's pretty crappy. But it's a 2-hour timer. I mean, what are you gonna do? It gives you that. There's no room for error. So, but they got it around this time. So, congrats to them.
Dude, I'm proud of them. That's good. I have a full clear on TFB. I have not yet full cleared SNV Nightmare mode. Congrats on. You said 16 man, correct?
It looks like no. I'm sorry, eight man.
Oh, okay, yeah, the logistics of putting 16 people together that are able to down Nightmare Mode content. That's a dun 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 all in its own. So that's good. Congratulations. I love seeing the community. I mean, you're talking about a small me and Ignitia argued it out this week about the community not being able to down content, and I said that hard mode is fisticuffs, fisticuffs. Ignitia has his fist up because it was a fairly heated conversation, and I think it needs to be. I think that the people shouldn't be handed nightmare mode content. Whereas Ignitia was saying don't hand it to them, but make it easier so that at least 20% instead of 10% is downing the nightmare mode content. And we just had a disagreeing. Hey, whatever you think about it, put it up www.42gaming.com. We have comments features now. You can go ahead and throw that up there. What do you think? Do you think that nightmare mode content should be more viable for more characters, or do you think that it is something that only the elite few should be doing, and anybody else should be gearing out through Nightmare for hard mode? That's a good discussion to have, I think. My secondary discussion was the Reddit news. So I had an idea to expand the areas. It turns out, hey, good ideas, good smart people think alike, right? Geniuses think alike. On Reddit right now, by the name a man by the name of or a woman by the name of Magic Platypus. I'm gonna let that sink in.
Lovely name there.
I'm gonna let, I'll
Definitely a woman.
let- okay. Magic Platypus brought up that they want to see expanded old areas brought back. and just expand on the old areas. So that's cool. And it seems like with the 39 upvotes and 27 comments, it's something that on Reddit, subreddit for Star Wars: The Old Republic, that you might want to go check out and get involved in that conversation, because I think that the more we get involved, when we had Acheon on the first time, what was that? It was episode 9, something like that. Anyways, it's on the website. He talked about Eric Musco gets on to Reddit and sees what's going on in Reddit. Their whole team gets on and they see what's going on in Reddit. So the more that we show support on an idea, the more likely it's going to be out. So go ahead and check that out also. Anybody else have any Reddit news for this week? Anything you found interesting?
Uh, I saw on Reddit yesterday, Eric Musco put out little hints that are what's coming in patch 2.6.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Do you want to talk about it? Like, I mean, they talked about, if I remember, skills for mercenaries and sorcerers, and they also talked about operatives, if I remember correctly. Has anybody else seen this?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
definitely. That was some. Looks like it might be some viable buffs to the Merc healing class. I mean, the being able to put the Koto shell out there on multiple targets now, and being able to rapid shot yourself, which I'm wondering how that's going to be
So I don't
significantly
want
different. Maybe
to.
shooting
Shoot,
yourself in the
I don't want to get involved
shoot
in this
yourself in the foot.
because I'm gonna be sitting there going, hey, remember what I said? But Big, I know I brought this up to you, sort of gloating earlier. Do you? They might want to go back. Episode 1 is really boring, but honestly, we were just not in our prime yet. So, what I may have said something in episode 1. I don't know what that was though. What
I,
do you remember?
you might have suggested that that is one of the ways that they can make the class viable. And I actually might recall that you actually said being able to rapid shot themselves. But what do you think the animation is going to look like? Are you
No, no,
going to
no.
shoot
I think
yourself
I
in the
actually
foot?
even went as far as to say Koto Shell on multiple targets was awesome. I mean, I don't
Hold
want
on, hold
to.
on, hold on, hold
Look at
on.
this. This
Ego,
is. Hmm?
Rondo's ego is not finished yet, Big. You gotta let him.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I recall, you said both of those, the cult of shell and possibly rapid shotting yourself. I don't recall
Yeah,
if you said the rapping. I'm just
I definitely did. Okay,
Stop
so
feeding.
so we can
Stop
move
feeding me.
on because I got you to admit and say and talk about me. So, what do you think about all this,
so. What do you think?
Big?
Well, what do you think the animation is going to look like? Are you going to shoot yourself in the foot with rapid shot? You going to shoot yourself in the head?
In my opinion, you're gonna raise the gun to your head and you're gonna be like, you know. Do you think
something
that?
sadistic like that. Put it to the chest and be like, bop, 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 right?
Well, yeah, that's hard. I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you what it's going to be like. I look forward to seeing it though.
The other thing that was
What if
brought up on this was the classes that don't have pushback talents are going to be getting them, and very based on what Musk was saying, a fairly significant DPS boost to operatives and scoundrels. That kind of scares me.
Right? Because we have operatives who are keeping up with us now. First they're going to be sitting there going, they're just going to be crazy now. So maybe they listened to Acheon last week talking about what they could do for operatives, and that was why they announced it. Who knows? That's last week's episode. You can check that out too on www.42gaming.com.
what if they
Next
do
one I
like
have
the
is.
dish,
Oh,
like it could be just a discharge out of their gun that kind of like a
What if the gun
backfire.
explodes? Yeah, what if the gun
Yeah,
like
exactly.
backfires? It's like poof, poof, and, like shooting them in the
Well,
face, and like their heads like going back. I think that
yeah,
would be
exactly.
fun.
and actually, going back to nightmare modes real quick. I don't know if have you seen the nightmare mode mount from Scum and Villainy? How it's that tank looking thing. Someone posted up one of the videos on YouTube where every so often when you dismount from it, it will actually like explode and it drops you to the ground.
Which one was that?
The tank from Scum and Villainy, the hard mode mount.
Oh, yeah. Wait, so it does explode when you dismount?
Yeah, every so often. I guess it's random and you can't get it to do it all the time, but you can hit some sort of button and
Wait, the tank from
it'll make it let
EC,
you.
right?
No, no, no.
No,
The
no,
tank
no. The
from
Scum and Villainy.
Scum and Villainy.
It has a big turret
It's
on the top of it, and
It's Titan
It,
6 at his last 20% when he's all
Oh, okay,
collapsed.
that's my bad.
yeah, exactly. It's uber rare. I think I've seen it twice.
Yeah, that's a really
Yeah, I don't
cool.
think I've seen
That's a really cool mount though. But it's been causing
it.
issues lately.
No, it just the animation. It's kind of a funny effect at the end. Like when you dismount, it just looks like it basically like
Oh,
shoots
like
up in
it
the air
blows
and
up.
yeah, it
Yeah.
blows up and then you fall to the ground, kind of like the Colton one where it just lands you flat on your face. Yeah, it's just a
Oh,
funny
that's
animation that
cool.
they
I
added
like
in
that.
there.
Okay, that's fun. That's fun.
Nice little touch that they added to the rare nightmare mode mount.
Anybody else have
They
any
still
Reddit
need
news
to make
or?
them shoot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They should just shoot blanks, or shoot fireworks, something.
It should shoot fire every now and then. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any
There
Reddit
was a
news
question.
before I give my props to Bioware?
Yeah, there was a debate on detecting stealth players that led into a little bit of debate on actually detecting stealth players
Yeah.
in Warzone. So just wondering if you guys have any tips for people out there and how you try and hunt down stealths when you're trying to cap a node or take over a node or get the door in Void Star.
For me personally, I like to put my
Scan.
the stealth scan down in a place that is I put it down in different areas for one. Um, when I'm playing, since I'm playing Pyro now, I also can see them easier when I detect into that. So if I do see them, I try to have my stealth scan ready, already ready to down the second I see them, so I can just click down. The last of all is I like to put my stealth scan not in front of the node or even around the node. I mean, not or right next to the node. I like to put it outside of the node. Because that's more likely where they're coming through. Also, instead of putting it in front, like in a direct line, I like to put it behind the node because a lot of times the stealthers will come around your node and then in instead of coming on direct lines through. A good stealther will go around instead of coming directly in. That's me personally.
I prefer to run around with my head cut off. It's like, I know there's a stealthy here. Oh my god, where is he going to be? And that's pretty much it because most of my characters don't have stealth scan.
Well, for you, so you do run around, and so I know some people they run or they keep moving so they know right away when they're stealth. Because sometimes when you're standing still, it's easy to not realize that you've been CC'd.
Uh, I try to keep running around as much as possible. Sometimes, like when it comes to playing Juggernaut, Marauder, not particularly like the stealth classes, but with the ones that can't really do anything, it's just keep moving because you might get that little glimpse of them, and that's when you have your opportunity to do your, like smash or uh, whatever ability that you can do just to kind of knock them out of stealth. Preferably, like what I like to do is try to pick them up and then try to, like when I was playing my Marauder, would actually try to rupture on them just so they have a thought also, so they can't just pop back into stealth on me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard now when you with the multi stealthers, especially with how easy it is to cap a point now. Which I have to say, I agree with what they did because it was so hard to cap a base before. With that, I think that they've done a really good job. The last thing though that I'm going to say is I've never been in a PvP thing where the best way to win a PvP match is to have all of the group, or at least more than half of the group, run around together, zerging. And I think the only way that they're going to make that easier is if they go ahead and increase the size of a lot of the PvP maps.
What I like to do is generally, if you know you're kind of dealing with a someone that's skilled in being stealth, is because a lot of times they're gonna do is they're gonna wait till the last couple of seconds to actually sap you. So I'd like to break it at about 6 seconds and drop like multiple AOE abilities. I'll either throw a grenade in one direction and pop some sort of AOE in another direction, and kind of like you said, where you think that they're going to be coming around from the back, and about half the time I end up hitting them or taking them out of stealth and being able to take them, fight them one on one to kill them and capture the node.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you guys for the Reddit news this week. I want to go into my thing. So I've been trying to save my Dread Palace progression for hard mode. I really have. I have not liked doing story mode operations. I felt that in the past they've been very to the point of basically too easy. Um, so the last week we finally just decided to complete it because I left the main group and I'm now leading a secondary group and a lot of them need gear. So I said let's just do it. Let's get in there. We got to the last boss and I'm going to tell you whether or not that it doesn't hit hard or it doesn't have as much health. They have really left this game open for progression for every skilled player. And I have to applaud BioWare for that because when you see some games, cough cough, World of Warcraft, when they added story modes, they it was so easy that they would give you 25 players, nobody would have to be in vent, and you were just downing content. And that's all it was. You were getting free gear, you were downing content. Um, So we've had props to BioWare in the past. What I wanted to do tonight is I wanted to thank BioWare for not doing DPS race bosses any longer. Whereas the core ability is to stay alive and to know how a boss works. And I just want to say thank you to them because what this is allowed to do, I mean, you're talking Dread Palace, the first boss, the second boss, the third boss, the fourth boss, and the fifth boss are not just run throughs. You need to know the content. And I want to say thank you to BioWare for making that possible. And maybe this was my turn to be a little bit of that the yes man, but it's just not if you don't know where to drop on the second boss, if you don't know where to drop the pillar, or not the pillar. What are they called? Where they fall down.
The floor,
The floor. Yeah, if the
tiles.
floor gets dropped separately, or in the wrong area, you screw the whole group. You're not walking people through these. So that's my
Yeah.
thank you to BioWare. And does anybody else have anything to say about that?
No, I think it's been done overall very well from my end, mainly on the tanking perspective. It's some of the fights are somewhat uh, well, a little bit easy. Like first boss in Dread Palace is it's an ad race, but it's not really as hard. But second boss, third boss, fourth boss, and especially the last one in Dread Palace are uh, they have a lot of different mechanics that are insane. I mean, you have a communication check on the third boss. You have survivability going on with the fourth. Second one is positioning, and the last one is there's so much going around that you have to pay attention and do that. It keeps everybody having to be focused and actually, and there's it's not the same thing over and over and over again. Like, oh, I got to just beat on this guy, kill a few ads, and then beat on this guy and kill a few ads. There's so many different mechanics, so many different things going on all at once that it's making it quite fun overall.
Yeah. Anybody
Yeah,
else?
I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean, with Scum and
like Waffles just said, there's still DPS rates. I mean, first boss in Dread Palace.
Oh, well, hard mode I would say is a DPS race.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I get what you're saying.
The story
in
mode isn't
story
quite
mode,
a
it's still
DPS race, but you have to know the fight. It's about living.
yeah, for the mechanics. If the tanks aren't doing it right, it is somewhat of a DPS check as well because you're having to burn those ads down. Then they're taking less damage, so they're going to have to keep it up before you either tax the healers or hit and rage. So it's, I mean, if everyone knows the fights, the story modes aren't too bad um, as far as healing and if you have the gear and stuff. But for pug groups and people who don't know the fights, I mean, it takes some good coordination to actually I mean, even doing like a healing now with some decent gear on 16 mans with people who don't know the fight when things screw up. I mean, it's actually taxing me as a healer. Where with Scum and Villainy, hard mode, it's got to the point when you're overgeared. It was just certain fights were just kind of easy, just sit back and heal. But so being able to be overgeared and still being taxed in some of these fights it is definitely a nice challenge. So I'd have to agree with you guys and give props to Bioware on it.
Okay, so now that we've talked about that, I think somebody brought up a very good point on how to make it a little bit more of a progression check, and I have to agree with him on this. Is that he had said his mention on and I'm talking in chat here on a mention on timers. I'm trying to find thoughts on rage timers. So what I'm saying on this is that the timers definitely do need a little bit of a working. Let's keep it at the same timers as a hard mode fight because it has become so easy that while you're just once you get the dance down, and so anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, the dance is the mechanics. Once you get
Mechanic.
that down, you can go all day with these fights, and then you can take a DPS who is very unclear on how to actually use his class, and you guys can just go all day as long as he knows the fight. And I say to this, yes, they've done a great job. There is progression for everyone. One thing that I do agree with him that he can make it that we can make this better by allowing the progression or allowing the boss to have much more less timer on it so that you can hit a timer if you don't understand your class's DPS as well. That's my thought. Do you guys have a thought on that, or do you think the timers are correct as we end this night?
I mean, some of these are meant for casual players, so they can at least get in there, see the story, see it basically. So I think they did a good job of leaving it there. They probably just more of a rage timers for story mode, so people aren't there on the boss for 5 hours, trying to down it with the one DPS alive. So I see the need for having some room for error and for story mode and leaving the room for error a lot higher. But because there's certain parts of the mechanics as well, if you don't know the fight, it's going to be a raid wipe anyway. So if people aren't doing their job right, then the raid's going to get wiped anyway. So I say I think they did a good job at it, and they should keep it how it is.
Well, hey, you guys, thank you for joining us on ME Podcast, episode 17. That's right, 17. I mean, that's if you talk about it in days, you could watch this. You could watch this once a day for like, what, 2 weeks or more? I'm bad with math, but whatever. Anyways, I hope that you all stick with us. If you go to www.42gaming.com, not only do we have fun content when it comes to our podcast, I'm always making a fool of myself and whatnot, but you can go ahead and check us out. And when it comes to guides, we're working on getting guides up there. My Pyro Mercenary guide is already up there. It's a great way if you're picking up that class to get that to start hitting it hard. There was a great Reddit post going on about it. We had people from Hatred in there and other classes that were talking about it. So, I'm really happy with the guide. I'm happy with the way it turned out. We're working on getting Maisa, somebody from our guild, in there with Marauder Guide. Other than that, I really had a great time tonight, guys. So just remember, if it's red, it's dead on the PvP side. We can't leave him living. Got to kill those pubs because we are imps. But on the other hand, don't kill me if you see me raging Rondo on the Bastion. Go for Big. He's usually right next to me. Other than that, enjoy your raiding content. We got some great content out right now. Not only is it beautiful, but it has some great progression experience for you. I hope you guys listen. www.42gaming.com. Enjoy and have a great week. We'll be back next week with our thought process on proof about the upcoming content. Have our thought on what proof could be with upcoming content. Have a great week.
Later, y'all.
So yeah.